Hi everybody, I'm going to show you how to take off a boosted board belt. I did this 4 years ago. I didn't have a very good camera, it didn't come across very good either. So now I'm using my phone and hopefully it turns out better. Boosted board comes with their own little boosted belt service kit. It comes with two belts. I used one. This is the hex wrench key and it comes with some bolts. You need a 1/2 inch head socket wrench, and you need obviously a boosted board. Right here you have the, I'll just go ahead and do this. There we go. So I'm just gonna undo this bolt. Okay, it's not really a bolt, it's a nut. Releasing the nut. As you take this off, there's a little ring right behind it. I don't know if you can see that. So you can use a knife or a screwdriver to pop this little thing out. Sometimes that's pretty tough to do. Here, I'll dump the board on the side. Just don't want to lose. There it is. There you have it. So you want to keep the nut and the washer, and don't lose those. I'll clean those up a little later. Next, you want to take this hexagonal tool and loosen up these 3 bolts. It comes with it, boosted board kit comes with this Allen wrench, and it also comes with new replaceable bolts, which is nice too. They have a little pre-made little Loctite on there, so when you put them in, they are nice and snug. That's one of the first problems I had with this boosted board when I initially started working on it. These nuts would loosen up on me, so I actually had to buy some Loctite, and that seems to have done the trick. It's the blue Loctite. You don't want to get the stuff that's permanent. Okay, immediately when I undid this last bolt, this whole spring system extended and popped out just fine, because if you have an F-clamp, there we go. You saw that extend? Did you see that pop out? Here's the housing, and you're taking that off, and before you put that back on, there's a little groove right here that this has to snug into. So anyway, that comes loose and that pops off. That's really all there is to it. Essentially the belt fits on here, just almost like that. It goes first on this ring right here, and like that. Okay, so I just pulled this out so you can see it. It's kind of nice to see. I did this unintentionally, but you can tell that there's 2 springs that fit into, this is where it all happens. The motor, engine, whatever you want to call them. So the springs fit right in here on each side, and then that's what keeps the pulley tight. So here's the pulley. So a little snafu can happen if this little ball bearing pops out. This little bearing pops out because there's this little piece of sleeve that goes in between the 2 ball bearings. You can see a bearing here, this external bearing, which is huge and awesome, but these 2 little like rollerblade bearings right here and here are skateboard bearings. You can see that one here and this other one right here that's kind of loose. Well, this came out in between the 2, so what needs to happen is this needs to go back in there and fit between the 2. So the easiest way I have to do that, if that happens, is just toss that sucker back in there and use a screwdriver that's skinny enough to go through the bearings like that. And anyway, you just adjust it to where it sits down there in between the 2, and you have to come from above. And you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see, but I'm just trying to pull that one right in line right there. And see, that one's in line. And then the bearing pops into place. And then I'll just push this bearing with my finger. There we go. You can hear the click. And you can see that little metal ring that's in the inside right there. It's kind of cattywampus. So you just go in there and now it's all straight. You can see all the way through it. You can see my shoe all the way through it. So what I'll do is I'll come through the other side, because you have to line it up. Otherwise this pole right here will not, the shaft won't go all the way through it. So you have to keep the screwdriver through the middle and kind of match the screwdriver up with that, with this pole right here, and then you just slide it over, and that should do the trick right there. Pops into place, bada boom, bada. Forgot to put a belt on, and then you put match up the screwdriver with the shaft, middle shaft, and it should slide right on. And right on. See this right here? I took off the housing, and this housing has 2 springs. One spring sits here and here, and those are the belt tension springs. So if you pull this whole thing off, obviously you're gonna have to use some manual skills here, and you'll have to put this all back together and put the springs in there so they push up against this metal housing. Let's see if I can do it. I definitely think I'm doing this the hard way, but so there's a lot of wires back here. You just have to push them out of the way. So now that I have them all out of the way, yeah, that should sit right there and line up. There we go. You can see how this will slide in and out. Well, it needs some springs in there to. You can see that screw right there, right down there, because it fell from up here to down there. But you can see the little spot where these screws sit. And I'm gonna try to put this. Sorry, I keep calling these screws, but they're really springs. There we go. Now the springs are in place. Okay, so now we have the motor, we've got the pulley, the springs in place. Now we've just got to squeeze this spring to where we can get this belt around this pulley system. So that has to fit in between this groove right here, and if you can get it from this angle right there. And if you put this on before you put the housing, before you put that into that groove there, you're never gonna squeeze that back into place because that just doesn't fit. So I'm gonna have to release this again, put this through there so I can get the housing back on. The one thing I forgot to do, which I mentioned in the previous videos, you can see this, it's a negative lead that attaches to the housing here. Fit that in the groove, there we go. Now we've got the groove. And now this part, this is how a lot of people have done it, where they put it on this small pulley first, and then as you put this on, you can actually catch the grooves here and it'll pull the belt right on as you push this on. And it kind of pulls the springs into place. I guess I didn't need the F-clamp after all. If you use your brains, I guess you can not use things like F-clamps. There you go. So you got the little piece in between, and I was able to put the pulley on the small pulley, or the belt on the small pulley first. And as I put the orangutan wheel and housing and everything on, I was able to rotate it and push it back on. So now that that's in place, spinning perfectly, and I'll put a washer that I'm going to clean and a bolt. I'm cleaning the nut first, I guess. I keep calling everything the wrong thing. There's the washer you saw, and here comes the, well, there's the nut. If I could actually put it on there. There we go. Nice to have tools at work. There we go. Kind of start rotating it. I don't want to strip it, so start with finger tightening first. And then we go to the ratchet. Click the ratchet the other way, so it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And there we have it. And right till it's snug. You don't want to go past that point. All right, I could put these originals back in, but they're kind of, they're getting a little rusty. So I've ridden this a lot, and we live here in Oregon. So I try not to ride it in the water because water damages everything, even though these are somewhat resistant to rain and water. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think the company recommends it. I like to tighten them all at the same time and not tighten one down before the other. It allows a little bit of wiggle room for the others to get in, and you don't strip anything. All right, I got 2 in pretty well, so I'm going to tighten that one down. And you want to finger tighten. You don't want to over tighten. But you don't want to under tighten either, so don't use your whole forearm into this. Just kind of use your judgment, but not overdoing it. All right, there you have it. Boosted board belt repair. All right, you guys have a nice weekend. Go Boosted, go Loaded. Love their boards. Sure are a lot of fun, and I've had mine, what, 6 years now, and I still love it. 43 years old, and I still love riding. Always use your helmet. Special thanks to Emma for putting this together and Brock for editing. Go ride.